This is Adam Faring, class of 2008. He's the Director of Development for Athletics and the Executive Director of Seahawk Club for the University of North Carolina in Wilmington.
I appreciate it. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Jake. I hope you guys are doing okay. So this is the first day back from what I'm hearing. So is that right? Yeah. And so it's I'm pretty sure it's a change for you. Like Julie said, thank you for taking the time and introducing me, and I'm glad you guys signed up for this. I am the Executive Director of the Seahawk Club and Director for Athletic Development at UNCW, University of North Carolina, Wilmington, which is a small Division I 3A school, it's Division I in basketball, but we do not have football. And so weird for me because I have a football background. I played football at Carroll and I played football at the University of Cincinnati. So I never thought when I got into administration that I would go to a school that didn't have football. So that's been a big adjustment for me. But essentially what we do is we're the fundraising arm for our Division I athletic department. So every university you're familiar with, regardless of division and regardless of what sports they have in their portfolio, they have a fundraising team. You know this. You think about boosters, you think about a booster club, you hear about this. It's usually depicted as the bad guys that are trying to give top athletes like a car or something for them to come to their school. You've heard of these kind of stories. That's really not an accurate representation of what it is. What it is there's a number of people who feel very passionately about a university, whether they're season ticket holders, whether they're fans, whether they played there, they donate back to the school and they provide scholarship opportunities for student athletes. So our number one responsibility is to raise money for student athlete scholarships. And you know this, like, are you guys athletes? Do you play any sports? And everyone's on mute, so you just have to kind of unmute. But I'd like to hear what sport you play.
I play basketball.
Basketball? And what about you, Jake?
I do football and track.
Football, cool. So if y'all ever had or still do have aspirations of going to college and getting a full ride scholarship for athletics, what you need to know is that scholarship support is 100% privately funded through someone or a group of people donating. That's not just money that the school has. And so what we do and what my team does is we go and we try to identify these people, build that relationship, and then get them to donate money to provide our student athletes those opportunities. So scholarships is the number one priority, but we also raise money for facility projects. And you can look around any football team that you follow that just built a brand new stadium, or any basketball team in college you follow that built a brand new arena. That was done with private support, because 9 times out of 10, athletics is considered an auxiliary part of campus. And for a public university, you don't receive state funds for that. So the funding for that comes from the student fees that students have to pay to go to your university and private donations. And that's where my team comes in. To sort of connect the dots for you a little bit in terms of how I went from where you're at right now, because I was sitting in your seats, to where I'm at now. When I was at Carroll, I was a member of the football team. I also ran track, wrestled my freshman year, but I went to Division III Thomas More College in Crestview Hills, Kentucky to play football. While there, quickly learned that, you know what, this isn't really the route for me. I'm gonna quit here and transfer, one, to get my in-state tuition back, because that out-of-state tuition is an eye-opener. So I was looking at the University of Cincinnati and got my stuff together. And after my freshman year, I transferred there. When I transferred there, I had aspirations of walking on the football team. They had a coach by the name of Brian Kelly, who's now the head coach at Notre Dame. And the team, my first year on campus, went undefeated and finished number 4 in the BCS rankings. And so this goal of mine now seemed pretty impossible. It's like, there's no way I'm walking on a top 5 football team. He used that year to take the Notre Dame job, and in comes a new coach by the name of Butch Jones. They kind of had a clean house, brand new coaching staff. And so I got in with them and walked on, got a tryout, and eventually made the team. I played for 3 years, first as a receiver, and then finished the rest of my career as a running back, and was fortunate enough to earn a full athletic scholarship for my senior year. We did really well the 3 years I was there. The first year we went 4-8, but then we went 10-3, 10-3. We won 2 Big East Conference championships, which they're not even in that conference anymore, but it was a big deal. We had Louisville in there, we had West Virginia in there, Syracuse, Rutgers, a lot of schools that are in these Power 5 conferences. We were all in that conference together. So I've played against a lot of good people. I've played with a lot of really good people. I don't know if you're familiar with Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. He and I were seniors together at Cincinnati. So he was a teammate of mine. So it's been crazy to see him become who he's become, because we were both just, football players in college who were both broke, and now he is not. So I saw a lot. I experienced a whole lot. But the most important thing I think that I experienced during that time was how college athletics works behind the scenes. So when I got my scholarship my senior year, I was able to move some classes around based on the aid that I was getting. And I took an elective in our ticket office. And basically, ticketing and fundraising works a lot together, because if you want season tickets, you have to donate to get season tickets. And you usually have to donate a certain amount per seat for that section. So to be a fundraiser, you also have to kind of know the ticketing side too. So I was working in tickets. And my first day there, my boss, and I'm a senior in college at this point, I'm still on the team. He hands me a list of football donors and says, all these people gave to football specifically, call them, tell them who you are, and thank them. And so that's all I did for like the first week. And as I talked to people, I shared my story. Hey, I'm a first generation college student. I just got a scholarship. And I was broke before I got my scholarship. Like I was facing eviction. Like it was really in the nick of time. And so I was able to talk about that and kind of give that testimonial about the difference that it makes. And these people were not only getting thanked, but a lot of them were signing back up, and they were donating again. And so my boss sat there and he's like, okay, well, try this list of people that haven't donated yet this year. So I called them, I tried to get them to give, and they were increasing their gifts. And so over time, I just kind of fine-tuned that and got better at it. Got my first full-time job here at UNCW after I finished my master's degree at Xavier. So I did my undergraduate degree at Cincinnati in business administration, really got an inside look at athletics through football, and then realized for grad school, I want to do something more specific to sports. So I went to Xavier for my master's in sport administration. And while I was doing my master's, I was interning at Cincinnati. They're not very far away. They're about 5 minutes away from each other, so you can kind of do both. I started applying for jobs, and I got my first full-time job here at UNCW as an assistant director in our team, which is our entry-level job. I was an assistant director here for 3 years and got promoted to associate director, and was in an associate director role for 1 year, and then I became the executive director. So now I'm running the entire team, the entire department for fundraising. Kind of crazy, because when I first took my job here, I thought I'll be there 1 or 2 years and then I'll have to go to a new school to move up. And so I've been real fortunate. We've also had a lot of growth here. Let me show you a couple things. Give me 1 second. I kind of got a little document worked up here for you. So don't laugh at me, but this is a side-by-side of me when I was a freshman at Carroll with my dad, and that's actually back there on the rock, if y'all are familiar with the fields. And then this is me, my graduate student year at Xavier, working game day, and I got my dad, me and my dad got him down on the field during a game. I think we were playing Louisville here, and Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback. He roasted us a couple good times. So then moving to UNCW, we chart our membership on a calendar year. So these are what these numbers mean is this is throughout that year, anybody that gave at least $1 to UNCW athletics. So I started right here where that red dot is. So as you can see, I wasn't walking into a great situation with a lot of history and a lot of donors. But I was fortunate enough to be part of a team that was consistent, worked really hard, and then we got really good at basketball, which is the #1 sport here. And we experienced a lot of record-breaking years. This is a drop because of, the poor play of basketball. And then 2020 is not on here, but it's probably going to be down here because we had a lot of people who just weren't in the financial position to give this year. This little graph is probably what I'm most proud of because it's a huge difference for our department, and more importantly, our student athletes. We've been able to increase the average dollar that we spend on a student athlete here, and what that does is it creates a better experience for them. It's something I'm easily passionate about because I'm a product of it, right? If someone didn't give when I was at Cincinnati, I wouldn't have gotten my scholarship. I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So for a lot of it, it's me giving back too. And it feels good to give back. It feels good to help other people. So that's sort of a overview of what I do. No 2 days are the same. It's a lot. It feels a lot like sales, but you're selling them on something that's not tangible. It's not, I'm not selling something that you can buy. I'm not selling, like a product. I'm selling our product is investing in young men and women so they can have these great opportunities, represent the athletic department and represent the city of Wilmington. So jobs taken me a lot of places. I've gotten to travel to NCAA tournaments when we've qualified for them. I have connections in the college athletics realm. I go to football games all over the place. You get to know the administration at different schools. It's a very tight-knit community. So you get to really see a lot of behind the scenes things. And I live at the beach where it's a lot warmer than Ohio. So, but with that, I guess I'll turn it over to you guys if you have any questions, or Julie, if you want to sort of help with that. But
Did you ever think that like you wanted to take a different path with business, or were you pretty sure that this is like the job you wanted to do like during college?
yeah, so college, I honestly didn't figure out what I wanted to do until I was a fourth year junior. And I share that a lot with young people because I think it's like, I'm young too, right? But I think it's where you're at in your life. It's really easy to feel like, oh my God, I don't have it figured out. Oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? And you guys might feel like that being seniors. Do you know where you're going? You guys got your ducks in a row. Whether you do or you don't, life's going to be like that. You're not always going to have it figured out. And I remember being a senior at Carroll and going, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm not sure what my next step is. There's always time to figure it out if you don't give up. And I think that's important. And what happens is at your age and when you're in college, if you don't have it all lined up and you don't have it all figured out, you freak out and you get this anxiety. And we do the big comparison thing, right? We look on Instagram, we look on whatever, and we see our friends doing things and we're like, oh, we should be doing that too. And comparison's always the thief of joy. Everyone's on their own track. Everyone's running their own race with it. But to answer your question, when I was an undergrad, I thought I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I picked marketing because I thought a business administration degree is pretty general and it can apply to a lot of things. I thought it was safe. And then I'll figure out what I'm passionate about a little later. Meanwhile, the thing I was passionate about was right in front of me as I went to practice every day. I just didn't understand that there was a whole business behind it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a marketing manager, whatever that is, and I didn't really understand what it was, and it all just sort of fell into place, and I was open and prepared for it. So when I got my scholarship, my academic advisor, when you play a sport in college, you have your advisor through your college that you study through. So I had an advisor in the College of Business, and then I had an advisor on the academic side, and basically, sorry, my phone's ringing a little bit. But basically, my advisor on the athletic side told me, you should do this job where you work in the ticket office. And I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to do that. I don't want to do it. And she kind of forced me into it. And I'm thankful that she did because I loved it. And now it's my career. And I never would have known. I would have had no idea about it. So Um, I'll say this, and I don't know if this probably isn't the popular thing to say. Your undergraduate degree isn't going to determine what you do with your career, especially now as you know, it goes on and on and on, and more people are going to college. The degree is it's an important thing to get, but it's not going to lock you in or dictate what you have to do with your career. When you go to graduate school, that can be a little more specific and apply. But like, I've hired position after position, and I don't sit there and talk to them about, tell me about what you got your degree in college. You know what I mean? It's more about, do they have it? Okay, check. It's almost like insurance. It's important unless you don't have it, or you know what I mean? That's when it really matters, is if someone doesn't have that degree, then you're like, okay, what are we looking at here? Most of those times when people apply for positions on my team, they don't even get a look without getting that degree. They get filtered out right away. So I don't even talk to them. So just keep that in mind. You could go through your college career, whether you end up going to like a Sinclair for 2 years, and then whatever you end up doing to get that degree, get it. And then it's really more about, do I have my degree? Yes. But do I have real experience? Have I spent the time building that experience? That's what it's really about. And sometimes you have to do that. Like, I worked for free for a year, unpaid. And it's very frustrating in what I do, because I can see how much money I'm bringing in, but I'm not getting it, you know? So I think like my first year at Cincinnati, I did it for free because I was a part of a class. I was getting a class credit. Then the next year I made $8 an hour. And then the next year it was $10 an hour. And then my first job here full-time was $44,000 a year. So you have to, and that's not just my industry, like, you have to pay your dues. And a lot of times you're gonna have to work for free. So when you go and you get your degree and you're successful because you all come from a high school and you're gonna get a good education, understand that just like sports, I gotta pay my dues before I can get, you know what I mean? A lot of kids come out of college and they think, okay, where's my big high paying job? It doesn't work like that. You have to intern, you have to pay your dues. You have to, it's like when you're a freshman on the football team or the basketball team, you don't just walk out there and go, okay, I'm starting. They don't care who you are or what you did in junior high. You know what I mean? So it's just like that. Life and work is like that. You have to pay your dues and work your way up. Sorry, it's a very long answer to your question. So.
Do you have like any plans to move up into like front office work or something? Or like,
Yeah.
do you like where you're at right there?
I enjoy the role that I'm in now, but you're foolish if you get complacent and think that I'm just going to stay here. You always have to have a vision in your head for what's next. So I have an ultimate career goal. I want to be an athletic director. So be in charge of the entire department. And really it's a function. The motivation for that comes from, that's the ultimate way to have an impact and help student athletes. That's where it starts. Obviously, there's a lot of cool things about that. You get to hire coaches. You get to really set the direction of your entire, athletic department, regardless if you're Division 1, 2, or 3. And I'm fortunate because in our structure in fundraising, there's no one between me and the athletic director. So I actually share a wall with him. He's on that side of the wall. That's his office. So we talk quite a bit. And I get to kind of pick his brain. And I say I want that, but the closer I get to it, the more stressful I know it is. So, but that's my ultimate goal, is I'd like to be an athletic director. And there's a lot of different ways to get there. Like in college athletics, it's not just fundraising. I mean, there's ticket sales, there's sports marketing and corporate sponsorships and advertising. There's academic support, there's strength and conditioning, there's sports medicine. There's all these different areas, and they all, you funnel up to a department head, which is where I'm at. And then you funnel up to a senior staff, and then an athletic director. So you can be an athletic director and have a background in something that's not fundraising, but fundraising, it tends to be the fastest and most applicable route, because so much is making money for the school. That's such a high priority. So that's my thought right now. When I was younger, I wanted to coach college football, and I had options to go do that. but every college football coach I had told me to do something else if you could do it, because it's a very stressful life and there's not a lot of job security. You got to think there's 120, I think, Division I college football programs. So that means there's only 120 head coaching jobs out there. I mean, that's not a lot. And I wanted to stay in that realm and find something that's a little more consistent and reliable. And the administration part can really scratch that itch for me of wanting to be around sports, but it's a little more buttoned up. I don't have to yell at 18 to 22-year-olds every day. I talk to, adults who are successful, and I can learn from them and I can get them passionate about what we're doing. So,
And like my brother, he's a manager at Murray State right now on the basketball team.
Yep.
Down in Western Kentucky. And his goal is to be a college basketball coach.
Yep.
So actually he's a GA now because he graduated, but not paid like you said.
Yep.
So, but yeah, his goal is to work up to head coaching as college basketball coach.
And you see that trend a lot. So when you're an undergrad, you either played or you're a manager, and then you become a GA no matter what. Like I would have to go and be a GA, which is a graduate assistant. You basically are getting your graduate school paid for while you serve the team in whatever capacity that is. It's tough. I mean, it's a grind. And with coaching in college, it doesn't, you hit the payoff when you're at like the top spot, right? When you get to be like an assistant coach, an associate head coach, a head coach. So he knows, he's going to know, and he'll be able to tell you it's a grind, and he's going through that part that we all go through no matter what career path we take, where we have to pay our dues. You know what I mean? So what about y'all? What are you thinking of getting into? And it's okay if you don't know. Like I said, I was 23 before I even light bulb came on. So
I'm looking to just do business and hopefully be like a financial advisor or planner. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Very important. Where are you, do you have education plans after Carroll?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing that 2-year Sinclair, then 2-year at UD.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good. It's a great route. You know what the benefit of that is? It's less expensive. And at the end of the day, as a person that hires people, I just see if you have a degree or not. I don't care how you got there. No one asked me, hey, I saw you did a year at Thomas More College before you transferred to Cincinnati. No one asked that. They're just like, oh, he's got a degree. Oh, he's got a master's. Okay, check and check. They don't dig into it. So if there's some apprehension from you or any of your friends, or if you have younger siblings that come up that route and they're feeling kind of, because I remember I felt like that when I was 17, 18, like, I don't want to go to a junior college. As long as it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. So if you finish with a degree, that's the most important thing. And you're probably going to be in good position because it's going to probably cost you less than the average person. Because Sinclair is, at least when I was in high school, Sinclair was the most affordable tuition in the state. And we were lucky to have it right there in Dayton. So, and what about you, Ryan?
I don't know for sure yet, but I'm most likely going to business or sports administration.
Yeah. And I mean, and same thing for you. I mean, there is no shame in working for a little bit, saving up some money, and then going to a junior college. And then it feels like you're going to get to the point where you're in your like mid-20s and you feel like, oh my gosh, I should have all this done by now. It is not too late to like ever further your education. When I was in graduate school, I was in school with 40, 50, even a 60-year-old was in there. So Xavier doesn't have football. Y'all familiar with that? Xavier used to have football. Have you guys seen the movie We Are Marshall? They play Xavier in that movie. And it was like the 70s? I took grad school at Xavier with a guy who was on the last football team they ever had. And even he was in there getting his master's. So it is never too late to get your education. It makes a huge difference in your future income, in your salary, and what you get paid. And it's an investment, so that's the key takeaway is you're not on anyone else's timeline. It doesn't mean sit still and just not worry about it. Like if you feel any anxiety about your future, that's good. It's just like when you got nervous before a big game. It's because you care. You care about the outcome, and that's a good thing, but don't beat yourself down about, well, so-and-so got this full ride to this state school or Ohio State or UD or whatever, and I have to go this route. Because when you're 30, it's not going to matter. It's just going to matter, did you get your degree? Are you in a career that you love and something that you're passionate about? And it's okay if you don't find that right away. It takes time. Like I said, I didn't know, and it was right under my nose. Like I didn't even know. And then the light bulb came on and I said, no, not business, not coaching. Like this is it. And when you run into it, and then you can run towards it with all the passion that you had when you were training for football or track or basketball,
How did Carroll prepare you for your future?
Yeah. Man, that's a great question. I actually think about it a lot because I still give back to Carroll, and that's important when you guys get into the space in your life where you have some disposable income, you'll really understand. And I'm not just saying this as someone who fundraises and tries to get people to donate. Like I say it as somebody who gives back. It feels really good and it's important. And it's something that my family and Carol instilled in me when I was younger. I'll be honest with you. I was a C plus GPA kind of guy in Carroll, which in hindsight, like Carroll's a pretty difficult school. It's a prep school. I didn't understand that at the time because I went through Catholic school my whole life. I went to Immaculate Conception and then I went to Carroll. So it's like that real rigorous private school life was all that I knew. So when I was only getting like C's and all my friends were getting A's, like one of the guys I played with he was 2 points away from getting a perfect score on the ACT, and I got a 21. So I was like, I felt like I wasn't the smart one, like I don't know what I'm doing, but I didn't understand that I was in such a competitive pool of it. Like my class was so competitive at Carroll, and it wasn't until I got to Cincinnati where, okay, I was a C average student at Carroll, but at Cincinnati, I was always top 5 GPA every quarter on the football team. And I was like, I'm one of the academic, like all-star kind of guys here. This is nuts, but you don't understand how competitive it is there and how much they do prepare you. It really, it's the your academic coursework's important. Discipline, because when you get to the next stage of your education, the hardest thing is really that time management, because you have all this freedom now, right? Your day, especially if you're not playing a sport, you're used to, okay, I go to school, I got practice after school, I got to get home, homework, shower, maybe talk to a girl or two, and then I'm going to bed, right? Like that, it's pretty boom, boom, boom when you're in high school. But like when you're in college and you're not playing a sport, you have your classes and that's it. And you have all this free time. So what do? Are you going to get into the wrong things? Are you going to use that time to study? Are you going to use that time to work out a little bit and keep yourself in shape? Or, you have all these options. And when you have nothing but time opened up like that, it's easy to kind of get sidetracked and lose that discipline. And Carol, I think, did a good job of teaching me like that discipline, right? Teaching me, okay, when left to my own devices and left to my own time, am I going to use this for the right thing? And it's as simple as like using a planner and keeping track of things, or keeping a schedule in your phone and stuff like that. So I think that was the real thing that I think came with that private school education, was that discipline. And it's something I noticed that my teammates didn't really have. They'd miss meetings and they miss, they'd be late to this, or they'd forget to turn this in. And even if I wasn't as smart as some of them, I could get all my stuff in on time. I can control the things that I can control. And that puts you in a position to be successful. Because when you start working, it's the same thing. There's silly rules that you don't think you should have to listen to, but you do, or else you're in trouble. And there's being on time, and there's getting this project in on time. And, the game doesn't really change. It just starts looking a little different. So, yeah, that's the biggest thing when I think about Carroll, was it introduced me to my love of athletics, but then it also, the discipline, I think.
Thank you again. This has been great. You really brought up some really great points that I think that they appreciate. So.
Well, good, and I wish you two the best of luck. I'm gonna give a I'm gonna give Julie here my contact information. And if y'all ever want to reach out with any more questions, you can shoot me an email, anytime. So even if you get further along and you're like, gosh, what was that guy Adam talking about? A few years ago. I mean, feel free to reach out. I want you guys to be successful. Your families have put you in a position going to that school to give you a real shot at having a successful life. And so just continue to do what you're doing, continue to work hard. And again, stay on your schedule and stay focused on that. And it'll all work out. If you just be disciplined and work hard, everything will be all right. So, cool.
Thank you again.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys.